The manager merry-go-round continues. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is a kind of short and sharp show for you this evening because I'm aware it's the weekend and I'm aware we've got Chelsea to focus on, but it's very tough to focus on that when you know everything that's going on behind the scenes at West Ham. And my word, it's actually a little bit ridiculous sometimes. It makes you get a little bit frustrated. It makes you feel sometimes a little bit excited. But what I will say is just be very mindful of the fact and be very careful of the fact that nothing is kosher and until there, of course, something coming out on the West Ham website, etc. Because the merry-go-round of the manager links at West Ham is actually ridiculous. Now, we've got David Moyes in charge. He has said and reiterated today that discussions will take place in the summer. But he was asked today about the situation between him and Tim Steidten, and he said, we don't want any distractions. So that's why this kind of agreement's in place. We keep our eye on the ball. Tim's got his job to do, and I've got my job to do. So we've got 3 games to play, so we want to keep it focused. He just said we're going about our jobs at the right kind of stage. But essentially, what it really highlights is the fact that, you know, whether Moyes is or not going to be in charge, West Ham have to do our due diligence and look at other managers. Now, one of the front runners seems to be that's come out as one of the front runners in particular today. He's been kicking about for a little while, and he's apparently been reportedly linked to going to AC Milan. They didn't want him. West Ham, then that was off. Then Bayern Munich, now that could be off, and now he could be one of the front runners for West Ham. And apparently, it's more of a David Sullivan signing if we do get someone like him. Now, he appears to be the front runner, and that's Julen Lopetegui. According to several reports, are saying that the talks between him and West Ham have progressed really well, though no firm agreement has been reached. But he is potentially number 1 on the list of potentially joining West Ham. Now, he was formerly at the helm of Wolves, and like I said, briefly considered for the AC Milan role, but he looks like he's potentially heading back to West Ham. And that obviously, in comparison to any other manager that's a forward-thinking, futuristic manager, etc., like Amorim, for example, is definitely a cheaper option. But let's not get this wrong. Lopetegui's not a crap manager, right? He's really not. And something that you might not know, and I don't know if Russ mentioned it earlier on, and Russ brought the comments in about Craig Dawson and what Lopetegui meant and why he ended up going to Wolves. He said, I remember it was a tough game, but one thing that stood out the most was the coach. He was stood right on the sideline, and he felt like another player. You could feel his passion, his love for the game there. And that was something he mentioned to me when I signed a few days ago. This is when Dawson had signed. He said you could really feel his passion for the game, and hopefully we can see that here. We've had plenty of conversations and even just training with him a few days, you can really tell he's a top coach, and I can't wait to get down to business and keep working with him. So you can judge a manager on the what are you judging Lopetegui on his Wolves career? Because in actual fact, he didn't leave for any other reason except for the fact he wasn't backed. I'm not saying I want him. I'm not saying that's the direction we need to go in. I'm just saying that is what the situation is. So let's push Lopetegui to the side. And the rumor is that Ruben Amorim is still West Ham's number 1 target. In actual fact, this manager, Ruben Amorim from Sporting Lisbon, looks like he's going to be Tim Steidten and Mark Noble's number 1. The issue is there is a big buyout clause, and will West Ham board want to pay that? Now, he spoke this today, and he has actually said, you know, in relation to speaking to West Ham, he's consistently asked about it. He said everything that needs to be said has already been said. You've already created your theories. I don't have any problems. You stick with your ideas. I'm not going to say why. I've already told those people who need to know, especially Hugo Viana, who's the sporting director of Sporting Lisbon, and I'll continue forward. I saw that manager who's also had problems with no, sorry, he said, I guess it's possible to talk about coaches or talk about clubs that fire coaches, and the next day you link one or the other. I tried to be honest with you, but then there are soap operas created saying that I offer myself to other clubs, which is actually funny to see. But essentially, he did speak to West Ham and potentially has previously spoken to Chelsea as well. And he remains West Ham's potential #1 manager target. It's just whether or not West Ham are willing to put a hand in our pocket and pay the money. But we certainly would put a hand in our pocket and pay some crazy players who are not worth it, the wages. That's what kind of pisses me off sometimes with our style of play. A manager that I think we could rule out is Graham Potter. Apparently, he's not been considered for the West Ham role. He's a manager that West Ham fans have had a lot of keen interest in during his time when he was at Brighton, not necessarily his time at Chelsea, but he's been missing from action for, oh God, a while now. And I think a lot of people thought that maybe he would be a good manager to come in and build a new squad amongst West Ham. But it looks like that one's done. Will Still, as I mentioned to you the other day, is available. He's obviously lost his job with Rem. He's not had a lot of huge experience in management. He started off his career with Rem really well. I think it was like a 19-game unbeaten run, but laterally have really fallen off a cliff. And hence the reason he's out of a job. And I don't know if that was ever really a realistic option for us, but it certainly is not an option right now anyway, because he looks like he's going to be heading to Sunderland. So when it comes to West Ham, really the front runners seem to be David Moyes. You might laugh at that, but just do not bet against it. Lopetegui, formerly of Wolves, and Amorim, who I believe is West Ham's #1 target. It's all going to come down to money at the end of the day. The merry-go-round will continue. We have Chelsea at the weekend. We have Luton and then Manchester City to go. We still have something to fight for. It's very hard job we've got to do, but a victory over Chelsea would be huge. And we want to finish the season well. But what we do know that's coming this summer, whoever's in charge there's a rebuild and we need to get the right people in for the right time. And it's an odd one. With what's going on behind the scenes, and I blame one man only, and that's David Sullivan. But I'll keep that for another video when I have a proper rant about that one. Take it easy, have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Come on, you hands.